Okay, Arsenal then. Arteta's due to be offered a new contract. He's currently got 1 year remaining. Yeah. What business, looking at Arsenal's squad, do you think that they need to do?
It's tough really, because the obvious thing is that they need a forward, but then you look at the goals they scored last season and they scored loads. I think the worst position on their team is left back. I think they could do a really good. Zinchenko and Tomiyasu
as well this summer.
I think left back's a problem for them, one that teams have exploited. When Arsenal have struggled, it's tended to be there. Teams have, including us, we got at them down there. Mo Salah just owns Zinchenko. He has him on toast every time, and a few teams have done that to them. I'm tempted to go back to they need a centre forward, and then you look how they did last season, and they didn't need a centre forward because they almost did it the Liverpool way of the wide forwards got the goals. It just happened to be Trossard, not Martinelli, from the left hand side, and then Saka continuing to score from the right. So I think if you ask, I think they're probably going to sign a left back and a centre forward. The Kai Havertz, Gabi Jesus thing worked well for them. But I think maybe that's what they're looking at, to go from second to first, probably those two positions.
Chloe, Steve mentions it, they got goals from all over the place. Now, it was pretty historic from set pieces what Arsenal were able to do last season. Yeah. With a year's worth of data from their opposition on them, that they'll be trying to make it again or do that again, but it's going to be a little bit harder for them. So do you think it's going to be a striker?
Yeah, I definitely think they need one, just for the fact of just get Gabriel Jesus off your books, please, because he's not fit enough, and that's just a simple thing. He might be an all right footballer, but you know, he's you can go and buy better forwards than him, forwards that are more available, and like we've seen, you add in a proper goal scorer just means that, you know, I mean, they didn't really struggle this season with goals, but in big games when you need someone to hold it up and someone to get that vital goal, your number 9 is going to be there for you. It also means that they can rotate a bit more. Martinelli, you hardly saw much of him this season as well, so maybe he comes back to full form, because he was electric the season beforehand. The other thing I would say is they're going to lose Thomas Partey, I think. They've got an aging Jorginho, which I think you do keep for experience, but I wouldn't be playing him week in, week out. They've obviously bought Declan Rice, I get that. But maybe like another midfielder in terms of just playing alongside Declan Rice to maybe replace Thomas Partey, because actually when he came back in, he played all right for them. We all know why he wasn't playing for half of the season. But yeah, maybe that's another position to look at, but that would be the third position to look at. I think it's a left back, a striker, and then maybe an extra midfielder. Also, by the way, I still stand by the fact that I think David Raya is just really, like, if they win the league with David Raya in goal, my head's going to explode.
It's easier when your defence is that good, doesn't it?
Yeah, his defence is good. Also,
and they are obligated to buy him 27.
And I think he's worth it, actually. I remember I did a show with another show, and I was like, what do you think will stop Arsenal winning the league? And I said, I think the goalkeeper and the strikers aren't good enough. I don't think I was proven right on either of those. He didn't win the league, but I'm not sure it was down to either of those. I actually thought Ryan was good, and I think he suits what they want perfectly. But you are right, he is protected by an unbelievable defence, and that's fine, because if that works for them. Like, Liverpool need Alisson, because the way Liverpool played exposed the goalkeeper. If you're not going to expose your goalkeeper, then it doesn't really make a difference. He can do the stuff with the feet. He can play, and he can do all that kind of stuff. So I actually think they'll be quite confident and comfortable with David Raya now.
Yeah, but once again, it's another year of data, isn't it? They obviously, us and City play the high line. That is why it's so easy to get at us, at both of us. That's why we don't have the greatest records defensively. But Arsenal drop off a little bit. Arsenal, everything's in front of the Arsenal defence, and don't get me wrong, Saliba and Gabriel have been superb. In fact, I'd have said Saliba was player of the season for me. I just thought he was outstanding. But with more, you know, data on how they play, and finding other ways to get at them, maybe, you know, next season they find it a little bit tougher. Maybe there's other ways to bully them from set pieces. Obviously they bullied all of us. Maybe there's something in there for other teams to get at Arsenal. But yeah, like you said, I think David Raya is an alright goalkeeper. It's just mad how, like, the other top teams, Alisson, Ederson, even Ortega, like, I'd put all three of them above Raya, I'd put a fair amount of goalkeepers above Raya.
I think he's
all right. I just don't think he's world class.
The thing with Arsenal's squad is they are all of a fucking brilliant age, give or take. Yeah. You've got Jorginho who's 31, you've got Partey who's 30, and everyone else is between 22 and 28. Yeah. Leandro Trossard's 28, Gabriel Jesus is still just 26. I mean, you look at, I'm looking down the squad now. Saka 21, Odegaard 24, Havertz 24, Trossard 28, Rice 24, Jesus 26, Martinelli 22, White 25, Nketiah 24, Tomiyasu 24, Gabriel 25, Kivior 23, Vieira 23, Saliba 22, Zinchenko 26, Jorginho 31. Who else is there? Ramsdale, obviously you might go. Raya 27, Jurriën Timber 22.
Ridiculous.
This is a squad in the same ilk that Liverpool built a squad together and a team together who were all going to hit their prime. Next year and the year after and the year after. We were saying this 2 years ago. In 3 years, they're going to be a major problem because of the age of those players, Dan. I actually think in sort of something like they said to me, we won the league without buying a fucking player. I actually think Arsenal can just improve without a player, but still they'll want to buy because everyone does.
Yeah, I think they will. I don't think it's sort of major surgery that's required, though, is it? I think we've all kind of alluded to that. I think it is just a couple of potential upgrades they could do here and there. I think left back's definitely one of them. You mentioned Kiwior there. He did a little bit out there. I'm not convinced by him either. I mean, Ben White had a brilliant season of right back, didn't he? To his credit, I don't think anybody truly expected that. I think maybe the centre mid area because Fabio Vieira didn't really, I don't think, come to the party.
Tomiyasu's really good, but his
fitness problems as well. Yeah, like I said, and Tim obviously got injured in first game of the season last year, so they'd be expecting more from him next time around. So yeah, it's very possible that they could really not do anything and sort of press on from there and get even better because they're a year further down the line with like Kai Havertz. He looked like he found the way to sort of play within that side towards the back end of the season. So yeah, there's nothing stopping them being in amongst it.
Havertz.
I know he's been outraged, hasn't he?
Edu and Arteta and Arsenal deserve so much credit for how they built the squad. They've got it absolutely spot on. They've managed to compete while the lads were young, and now they're all coming into their prime, and they've all had a year. They've all had a year or 2 years at Arsenal. The ones
ready for the step up.
The ones who've had a year, like Declan Rice, took to it like a duck to water. Yes. They're in a great position to capitalise. It's just, what do they need to do to just close that gap on City? We saw last year they're not a million miles away. There's a couple of little bits here and there where you can just get a little bit better.
I think a striker helps massively.
The only thing though is that was an off season for Man City. That's not 97 points.
But he's still got 92. Like,
it's still ridiculous.
Fine margins at the top.
Yeah,
just on the set piece thing as well. I want to say, like, you're right, opposition could work them out, but they've got an elite set-piece coach there. Yeah. So they're going to be thinking a new way to hurt teams as well. So I don't think it's going to be quite as impactful as we expect.
And also, the point you just made, there's the perfect one, Chris. They're going to get better. Like, Declan Rice is not the finished article, he's brilliant, and he's not...
Odegaard as well.
Saka is not... He's not. They're going to get better, because they'll be better 26, 27, 28.
And Martinelli won't have an off-season like that, again, you wouldn't imagine, because I think he's superb.
The only thing, like I say, I think on like some of the stats, are they sustainable? Is that something that transfers season to season to season? That many set-piece goals? That watertight of a back four? What you do if there's a big injury? I mean, Arsenal and Tim, I know like if you look at the stats, they lost a lot of players to injury, but a lot of that was Timber out for the season and a lot of Thomas Partey missing.
He did get lucky with injuries.
If you look at the two centre backs, Rice, Odegaard, Saka,
Saka was holding on to an injury for the last 6-8 weeks of the season as well.
I wonder if and this, by the way, this is true of any team.
Yeah.
If you take any of those players out, I still believe Arsenal's squad depth isn't brilliant. There's a lot of the bench Arsenal's bench never terrified yet. It was there's a forward you could come on and do, but like I say, it was either Trossard or Martinelli. That's a good option. I was never looking at Arsenal's bench going, if they're struggling, he's the one.
It's Nketiah and Nelson and people like that, isn't it?
So maybe it's that, but they're in fantastic position. I just think if they can get that left back sorted, I'm half tempted to say centre forward. I don't know who's out there who would suit how they play particularly brilliantly. Is there someone?
I think Ollie Watkins.
Yeah, he would be He would be a good signing for them. The option is, of course, you mentioned if they do that as well. You talk about midfield. Maybe Kai Havertz drops back because he started doing a bit.
There's links to Osimhen as well, who is just phenomenal.
He's a very good striker. The thing about them is they got a little bit lucky with injuries, but also when especially in the the latter stages of the season when like they were coming up against the rivals and stuff, and it was like, oh yeah, you're facing Chelsea but without Cole Palmer and the rest of the side. They got a bit lucky with that. What I would say is they'd have beat them anyway. Cole Palmer's incredible, but
I think the way they play though, Chloe, I think they are protect themselves from injuries.
Yeah.
They don't play the style of footy that is conducive to getting injuries, because they don't get whacked, they don't fly into challenges, but also, listen, they work hard, of course they work hard, but they have the ball a lot. And I think that's the one thing that your centre-backs aren't sprinting up here, there and everywhere because they've got a bit of protection. The line is maybe a couple of yards a little bit deeper and stuff like that. They look like a very efficient team. I think if you were building a team,
it's sustainable.
Yeah, but also I think because they've done everything right, they should win the league, if that makes sense. The way they built it should lead to a league title. It's just City are an absolute...
In another era.
That's what they will do. They've done everything right.
The thing they're lacking more than anything isn't really a personnel thing anymore. It's getting over the line in something. Because a lot of Arsenal fans back in the season were saying, how do Liverpool fans cope with this? And it was just Champions League trophy lads. You know what I mean? So we won other stuff whilst we won other stuff whilst just missing out on Man City and that super team. Arsenal haven't done anything.
Have they got the squad to be able to do both?
That's the key. I think
that's the difference.
Them buying games, they've...
So if we just answered the question about what Arsenal needs,
a couple of
they need squad.
But that's what I'm saying. If they sign Chris, a left back, a centre forward, a midfielder, the ones they've got go on the bench, and all of a sudden the bench looks a lot stronger than your Nelsons or your Nketiahs, or if it knocks Kai Havertz, Gabi Jesus, Zinchenko
this is the thing, isn't it? I think when you look at Manchester City, what they're able to do is make those changes and keep the results the same. It sounds easy to just buy 3 players and your squad gets better, but you're introducing 3 players, which goes against what we've just said about them improving and getting better, because all the players have come up together and they're all of an age.
But last year,
that cohesion that exists between them.
He introduced one really in Rice, didn't he? With a couple of Trossard then broke his way into the team.
Well, Trossard was about the year before.
Yeah, but he properly emerged into bringing his way into the team. He became a major factor.
It was January they bought him, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was January.
And he became a major factor for
them. He signed Timber as well last summer, by the way.
Yeah, and he got unlucky with him. Yeah, he got unlucky with the injury. So I don't think I think 1 or 2, because they're not miles away. They're a really good team. It's like I say, they've got a massive mental barrier that we all had, and until you break that, it's very disheartening. If you look at Arsenal fans towards the end of the season, it's the first time they started bringing up the Man City charges and how are you meant to compete with this and what are you meant to do.
Well, they started talking to us.
Yeah.
It tells you all they needed to know about how difficult they were finding it.
Yeah, exactly. And that it's a massive barrier. They need to... Another season without a trophy is really... I think that's really tough to swallow, because Arteta won the FA Cup in COVID, didn't he?
Yeah.
With someone else's team, effectively. Yeah. This is his team now. They need to go. I think they have to win a trophy, because they're too good. 3 seasons with this team with nothing isn't right, really. I'm with you though. I wonder if the squad is good enough to do that, because they rightly will focus on the Premier League. When I watched them against Bayern, I thought we weren't watching the same team. They looked a little bit gun shy, a little bit. Something wasn't right. Bayern aren't that good. Weren't that good in either of those games actually, and got the job done. So maybe it's a mentality thing, because Arteta comes across really mentally strong and he's trying to develop that into his team. But at some point there's got to be proof in the pudding, and maybe that's the final step. Can they do something that just gets them there? Maybe they have to sign someone who's won tons and tons of trophies, because Gabi Jesus was meant to be that, and he's not on the pitch enough. No. So maybe they need someone on the pitch who's won.
The thing is obviously I said BTEC, Pep Guardiola earlier for Arteta, but that's just because Pep Guardiola's ridiculous. He's one of the greatest managers ever. And Arteta can get close to his level, especially rebuilding an entire team. He's done it the hard way.
He's done it the right way.
Yes.
And what I mean is inside the rules and regulations that are permitted as well.
And brave.
Not the hard way. He's done it the way.
Yeah,
he didn't cheat.
And brave. He was brave as well.
Yeah.
See you later, Aubameyang. See you later. All these lads, it's hard to do. He was brave enough to do it. I go back to my point, Chloe. If football was right, he would be rewarded by winning trophies. For this, it's just the City cloud hangs over everything.
But what I would say is they need to go over the line, because the more it goes on, the just less you believe in it, the less you think you're good enough to do it. The Champions League last season, they struggled against Porto, and then they got Bayern, and we all went, okay, well, it's an Arsenal Man City semis here, and they couldn't get over the line, and they were a much better side than that Bayern side. That Bayern side was awful. And maybe it is a mentality thing, because they've not been able to get over the line with unbelievable teams under Arsene Wenger in the Champions League, but they need to do it quickly, even if it's just an FA Cup, even if it's just a Carabao Cup, something that gives you the motivation to keep going. Okay, well, I've won one thing here, and know what it feels like now. It's going to push me on to win another.
I keep hearing this sort of they need to do it thing, and not just with you guys and stuff like that. And I think the follow-on from that is people will start to leave. People really believe that if Arsenal don't win it this year, like, Saka's going to go.
2 years
I
now.
think so. I think so, yeah. If they were to go trophyless for another season, and, I don't know, a Barcelona, a Real Madrid were sniffing around the Saka and Martinelli, whoever it may be, I think there's a world whereby they move on, 100%, because ultimately, a lot of professional footballers, perhaps not carte blanche, perhaps not all of them, but a hell of a lot are in it for trophies, in it for silverware. And if you keep missing out or falling short in every competition you're in, there will come a time whereby you'll move on. Yeah,
Having said this, I think they'll win the league.
Okay, I think they've got a really good chance. What I would say is also, and look, it might not work that way, but you'd imagine that Chelsea improve. You'd imagine that Newcastle, depending on who they sell or whatever, but with Tonali back, might improve a little bit, especially with no European football there.
Is Tonali coming back, is he?
He'll be back, will he?
Yeah.
He'll be back, will he? Wow.
You've then got Man United, who you expect to improve, whether it's with Eric Ten Hag or not.
Count
They
your
have
chickens,
to.
I won't count those chickens.
Why do we expect them to improve? They've
You
not
just
for 10
have
years.
to expect
I don't
them
expect
to improve. But there are, Aston Villa even, there are teams there who I think Aston Villa will find it a little bit hard due to the European competition. But there are teams that you should expect to get better, who have had off seasons. Even Liverpool, look, I'm not saying we can go for a title, but maybe the new style of football is just harder to beat us. Who knows? Because they took 4 points off us, they took 4 points off Manchester City. So you expect teams to get better, and also the more data we have on this Arsenal side, the more hopefully other teams will adapt to it. So if they don't get over the line the season after, at that point, does Arteta lose a little bit of hope? Who knows? But I just feel like they have to get something, because I think even James Milner, all these players who have won many things at Liverpool, said that Champions League was so important, because you couldn't imagine losing out on a Champions League final and losing the league by a point when you'd got 96 points, 97 points, to then have to go again and try and do it all over again. And they will feel losing the league by 2 points. They'll feel horrific. We already know how they've been going on at us. And I'm happy that someone else is feeling that, to be honest.